Measles is a childhood infection caused by a virus. Once quite common, measles can now almost always be prevented with a vaccine, also called rubella. Measles can be serious and even fatal for small children. While the death rates have been falling worldwide as more children receive the measles vaccine, the disease still kills more than 100,000 people a year, mostly under the age of 5. Measles signs and symptoms appear around 10 to 14 days after exposure to the virus. The signs and symptoms of measles typically include fever, dry cough, running nose, sore throat, inflamed eyes, tiny white spots with blackish white centers on a red background found inside the mouth on the inner lining of the cheek, also called Koplik spots. A skin rash made up of large flat blotches that often flow into one another. Hello and welcome to Beyond Challenges on OSRC TV. My name is FOLAJOGUN AKINLAMI and I'm your host on the show. Beyond Challenges is a platform where we celebrate the strengths of persons living with disabilities who have somehow managed to turn their pains into gains. Let's take a quick break now and I'll take you through the life of an individual who is truly and genuinely beyond challenges.
Married. I belong to a very conservative family, a Baloch family, where good daughters never say no to their parents. My father wanted me to get married, and all I said was, if that makes you happy, I'll say yes. And of course, it was never a happy marriage. Just about after 2 years of getting married, about 9 years ago, I met a car accident. Somehow my husband fell asleep and the car fell in the ditch. He managed to jump out, saved himself. I'm happy for him. But I stayed inside the car and I sustained a lot of injuries. The list is a bit long. Radius ulna of my right arm were fractured. The wrist was fractured. Shoulder bone and collarbone were fractured. My whole rib cage got fractured. But that injury that changed me and my life completely was the spine injury. Many people came to rescue. They gave me CPR. They dragged me out of the car. And while they were dragging me out, I got the complete transection of my spinal cord. Those 2.5 months in the hospital were dreadful. I was at the verge of despair. One day, doctor came to me and he said, well, I heard that you wanted to be an artist, but you ended up being a housewife. I have a bad news for you. You won't be able to paint again. Next day, doctor came to me and said, your spine injury is so bad. You won't be able to walk again. I took a deep breath and I said, it's all right. Next day, doctor came to me and said, because of your spine injury and the fixation that you have in your back, you won't be able to give birth to a child again. That day, I was devastated. I started to question my existence. Why am I even alive? So what kept me going was, one day I asked my brothers, I know I have a deformed hand, but I'm tired of looking at these white walls in the hospital and wearing these white scrubs. Bring me some colors, bring me some small canvas. I want to paint. So the very first painting I made was on my deathbed, where I painted for the very first time. What an amazing therapy it was. Without uttering a single word, I could paint my heart out. I could share my story. People used to come and say, what lovely painting, so much color. Nobody could see the grief in it. Only I could. And that day I decided that I'm going to live life for myself. I am not going to be that perfect person for someone. I am just going to take this moment and I will make it perfect for myself. That I'm going to fight my fears. So I wrote down one by one all those fears. And I decided that I'm going to overcome these fears one at a time. You know what was my biggest fear? Divorce. But the day I decided that this is nothing but my fear, I liberated myself by setting him free. And I made myself emotionally so strong that the day I got the news that he's getting married, I sent him a text that I'm so happy for you and I wish you all the best. And he knows that I pray for him today. Number 2 was, I won't be able to be a mother again. And that was quite devastating for me. But then I realized there are so many children in the world, all they want is acceptance. So there is no point of crying, just go and adopt one. And that's what I did. I gave my name in different organizations, different orphanages, and I waited patiently. 2 years later, I got this call from a very small city in Pakistan. I got a call and they said, "Are you Muniba Mazari? There is a baby boy and would you like to adopt?" I could literally feel the labor pain. I said, yes, I am going to adopt him. I am coming to take him home. And that day, I was 2 days old, and today he's 6. You know, when you end up being on the wheelchair, what's the most painful thing? People think that they will not be accepted by the people because we, in the world of perfect people, are imperfects. So I decided to appear more in public. I started to paint. I have done a lot of modeling campaigns. I decided that I'm going to join the national TV of Pakistan as an anchor person. I became the National Goodwill Ambassador for UN Women Pakistan, and now I speak for the rights of women, children. I was featured in BBC 100 Women for 2015. I'm one of the Forbes 30 under 30 for 2016. So when you accept yourself the way you are, the world recognizes you. It all starts from within. We have this amazing fantasy about life. This is how things should work. This is my plan. It should go as per my plan. If that doesn't happen, we give up. I never wanted to be on the wheelchair. Never thought of being on the wheelchair. This life is a test and a trial, and tests are never supposed to be easy. So when you're expecting ease from life, and life gives you lemons, then you make the lemonade, and then do not blame life for that. It is okay to be scared. It is okay to cry. Everything is okay, but giving up should not be an option. They always say that failure is not an option. Failure should be an option, because when you fail, you get up, and then you fail, and then you get up, and that keeps you going. Embrace each and every breath that you are taking. Celebrate your life. Live it. Don't die before your death. Real happiness lies in gratitude. So be grateful, be alive, and live every moment.
Welcome back from that break. All right, so let's move to the next segment now, where we meet our celebrities for the week. And yes, we have 2 of them on the show today. That's why I said celebrities. Why not make yourselves very comfortable as we go on a jolly ride with our celebrities.
Ilembola Adeyemi was born in the year 1960 in Fagun, Ondo town in Ondo State, Nigeria. She is the 3rd born of the 3rd wife in the polygamous home of the Ilembolas. She started schooling at the age of 6. When the missionaries came to her town and advised she be taken to school in Lagos, from there she proceeded to Federal Government College, Oyo.
My father has about 3 wives, of which my mother is the last, the 3rd wife. I'm the firstborn of the 3rd wife. Well, I didn't go to a sighted primary school. I became blind from measles when I was about a year and a half old, due to ignorance of my mother or the parents. So I wasn't taken to the hospital. But fortunately, when I was about 6 years, the missionaries and the Reverend Sisters, Catholic Reverend Sisters, came to our village, saw me, and then asked us to go to a school in Lagos called Pacheli School for the blind. So that's where I started my primary school. And then after that, I went to Federal Government Girls College, Oyo. Then when I finished there, I went to University of Jos. I had my diploma and a degree, bachelor in special education. And after that, by the grace of God, I was employed as a teacher.
Glaucoma is a condition that causes damage to your eye optic nerve and gets worse over time. It's often linked to a buildup of pressure inside your eye. Glaucoma tends to be inherited and may not show until later in life. The increased pressure, called intraocular pressure, can damage the optic nerve, which transmits images to your brain. If the damage continues, glaucoma can lead to permanent vision loss. Without treatments, glaucoma can cause total permanent blindness within a few years. Most people with glaucoma have no early symptoms or pain. You need to see your eye doctor regularly so he or she can diagnose and treat glaucoma before long-term visual loss happens. If you're over 40 and have a family history of the disease, you should get a complete eye exam from an eye doctor every 1 to 2 years. If you have health issues like diabetes or a family history of glaucoma or are at risk for other eye diseases, you need to go more often.
Ebiseen Tesimi was born in Oriri Town, Delta State, to Mr. and Mrs. Ebiseen Adebayo Joseph.
From Delta State, Warri precise, from Ishekiri, Oriri Town in Delta State. Born into a family of Mr. and Mrs. Ebiseen Adebayo Joseph. I'm the last child from the family of 8. And I was born 1996, October 21st.
They were both born normal until life happened and they faced different health issues that claimed their sight.
What really happened was that as my mother told us the story. So when I was about a year and a half old, though most of the babies in those days did have measles, but there wasn't anything like immunization. So what they usually do was to just put this breast milk into the eye, thinking that it will clear the whole thing. But unfortunately, it didn't. But it was later on then we are hearing that it was the first wife who was behind the whole problem, that she did confess somewhere that she was the one behind it. So, well, I don't really believe or think it should be so, because the woman in question was so kind to me and was really treating me like her own daughter.
As I was told by my mother and elder sister, I wasn't born like that, like this. But it was still when I was still infant that they noticed that something was wrong with the eyes. And maybe when I slept and wake up, the eyes will be coming, which wasn't so before. And they took me to everywhere they feel they can get me to. Even when I got to know myself as a child then, I was able to see little, and I was taken to UCH Ibadan for a medical treatment, and although went there 3 times to no avail, the doctor we happened to meet then after we went there in Warri precise, the doctor, after carrying out their test on the eyes, it was said that it's glaucoma and should not be operated, because then I was able to see, walk alone by myself and do most things by myself also. And it was said then that if anything like operation is carried out in the eyes, I will not be able to see anything again. So they prescribed eye drop and drugs for me to be using then.
Even though they are decades apart, while Ilembola Adeyemi started facing discrimination and certain challenges from her family, Ebiseen Tesimi hasn't faced any at all. In fact, her friends and family love hanging out with her.
To begin with, it started with my immediate family. See me being blind, some of them don't want to move so close. For example, when I was in secondary school, I have my immediate brother. He's about 7 years old or something, older than myself. He was asked to come and take me from school. He was saying, well, no, he can't. How will he hold somebody that cannot see? What will people be saying about him? That this is his sister, that he can't do it. So at times, even when I get home, I want to move around with him. No, he will say no, you should sit down. And also I have an auntie too that is always doing the same. If I go to spend holidays with her or something, he wouldn't like me to sit outside. Instead, we say I should lie down on the bed and pretend as if I was sleeping, so that if any visitor is around, he will say this person is sleeping or something. So, but I don't stay long with her. So, apart from that, it's only my immediate family. So, but when I got into the real world, everything was much easy, especially as special education came into being.
Because I think I'm from a family that never belittled me. Even though I happened to be the last child in my family, I was never treated as something like an outcast. They were always proud of me. Even when I'm not there, they talked about me. And people want to meet me. And so when they meet me, there is no need of avoiding me. I've never had that really. But say people avoiding or friends, instead they want to be with me.
At the point of marriage, I didn't have any because I already know myself. So I decided to get married to somebody like myself, that is, who also have the same visually impaired. Because I don't so much trust people with vision in those days. So, and I can't just bear a man looking at me and I can't see him. So that's why I decided to marry somebody like myself.
Ebiseen Tesimi advised Delta State government to establish a school for the visually impaired in her state, while she thanked the Ondo State government for taking the initiative.
To the Delta State government, if he cares to listen, I will want him to do the same, just as every other state government are doing in the state, so that the people with visually impairment can have their say and then can be able to be educated, not having the stress going out to another state. Instead of that, they should have a school for the visually impaired persons in Delta State and every other state which there is none.
Ilembola Adeyemi said persons living with disabilities should stop being aggressive.
Well, my advice to them is that they should try and face their education, and then they should not feel so inferior, and then they should try to be social with others, with people around them, and they don't have to be so aggressive. because some people are saying that visually or handicapped people are aggressive. But well, it's not their fault, but they should try to endure.
Oh, to the Ondo State government, I will say to him, I am very grateful for this school to be established for people with visual impairment. And I say, God bless him, more grace to his elbow, and with the present government and every other government that are coming, the Lord see them through.
My name is Mrs. Ajanaku ni Adeyemi. I am the assistant head teacher of the school for the blind. I am beyond challenges.
My name is Ebiseen Tesimi. I'm a student of our high school, and I am beyond challenges.
We explain why the inclusion of people with disabilities is good for everyone. Meet Sarah. She's a smart girl who loves to sing and help her mother to cook. When she grows up, she wants to be a teacher and get married. Sarah has cerebral palsy caused by partial damage to the brain and therefore uses a wheelchair to move around. She's an outgoing person, and whenever she needs help, she asks for it. But while Sarah can do most things herself, she faces many barriers. Some people's attitudes, as well as physical and economic barriers, make life difficult for Sarah. They say she can't be in a choir, and so far, no school has accepted her. If Sarah can't go to school, she won't find a job, and without a job, she will always be dependent on others. This is not only a waste of her skills, it's a violation of her right to proper education. But what can be done? It's not that hard. Everybody around Sarah can help her to live her life to the fullest and gain back her rights. We need to raise awareness, for example, in education programs. That way, Sarah's community understands the nature of her disability. After setting up a local support group for parents of children with disabilities, Sarah's mother can share her experiences with others. Now, the head teacher of the closest school knows that it's Sarah's right, like any other child, to be educated well. Teachers can get disability-specific training and support from a resource centre when needed. And we need to reduce physical barriers. Building wider doorways and wheelchair ramps benefits the elderly too. When given appropriate materials, people with visual impairments can study anything. With fewer barriers, a proper education and awareness in the community, Sarah has the same chance as others of getting the job she wants. Instead of depending on others, she is appreciated for who she really is, a person of many abilities. Whether someone uses a wheelchair, lives with vision or hearing problems, or has an intellectual or other disability, let's make sure our society includes them.
Indeed, they are beyond challenges. Don't forget to join us on our social media platforms to interact with our celebrities for the week. On Facebook, it's Beyond Challenges with FOLAJOGUN AKINLAMI, and on Instagram, @Beyond Challenges. Until next week, my name is FOLAJOGUN AKINLAMI, and I am Beyond Challenges. What about you?